Bros and heroes. Gonna tell you about bros and heroes. Gonna tell you about
comic books, costumes,
facts, boots,
and other stuff.
In this week's issue, World's Finest Wednesday.
Welcome into Bros, Foes, and Heroes. I'm Zach, joined as always by the muscly one, Mr. Mike.
Oh, that is far from true. I just want everybody to know that I am fully aware of...
People are going to wonder why there's just a random cut of just me here. And it's going to be funny because they won't know. It's just me explaining there's a cut, and I'm not going to explain it. Welcome to Bros, Foes, and Heroes. I'm Zach, joined by Mike, and this is
Von
the
Teeter.
World's Finest Wednesday. That's fine. They're going to have no context, anything
I'm Von
else.
Teeter
So.
now. It's like the end of Spartacus.
So,
who is Von
everybody's
Teeter?
trying-
I'm Von Teeter. I am Von Teeter.
So,
I'd like him better if his name was Von Tater.
we have hit that moment in the day. I can tell when I've lost Mike, so this is going to be fun trying to
Oh,
get through.
it's fine.
But it's a World's Finest Wednesday today. And what I have for
Whoop,
you,
whoop.
Mike, as we'll go ahead and get into it, I'm not going to make you wait too long, is we have Action
Ooh.
Comics. I go over here on this
Look at
side now,
that.
though. Action Comics number 279, Mike.
Yeah, the Super Rivals, the great imaginary story featuring Samson, Hercules, and Superman.
And that is the story we are covering today from August of 1961. The cover that you see there was art by Kurt Swan, Stan Kay, and Ira Schnapp.
Snap.
The story we're going to cover is Superman, Super Rivals. Writer Robert Bernstein, penciler John Forte. He also was the inker of John Forte. And your editor was Mort Weisinger. So let's go ahead.
Here's another issue.
Uh-huh.
Only one name, because she's going to be Mrs. Hercules, and she's going to be Mrs. Samson.
No, they're going to be Mrs. Lois Hercules and Mrs.
Oh.
Lana Samson.
Oh, Lana Samson.
Remember that's how because it was going to be she was going to be Lois Superman.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's right.
And Lana
Yeah.
Superman. So yeah.
I'm Mrs. Hercules.
So our story, we just get like
Why is her bra showing through her shirt?
that's how they drew it.
Oh.
Like we get for a lot of these, it's like a panel of like, oh, this might happen during the story, it might not.
Mm-hmm.
We also get a very giant, an imaginary tale up in the corner. They are very big on telling us like, this may have happened and this may not have happened, but if it did happen, it could have happened like this. If it did happen after, like a lot of that.
God, it's so many words on that page.
Yeah, I'm not going to read them all to you.
No, I don't. I thank God.
So one imaginary day, which may or may not ever happen.
God almighty, what is the deal
That's how
here?
the story starts off.
Are they afraid they're going to be sued by Samson and Hercules?
Or by time itself.
Or by Superman?
Time's like, hold on. I don't know how this happens. Like, maybe this didn't happen in that timeline. What's this BS you're out here throwing around with this story that didn't happen?
You can't be so casual with the thing that makes everything exist. Time.
So,
Look at this little tiny knife.
Lana and
It's
Lois.
built.
Where?
It's such a tiny little knife down on the bottom left.
Down the bottom. Oh, Hercules? Yeah.
Hercules.
So Lois and Lana are walking through the Metropolis Museum through the Hall of Heroes, and they're like, you know what? Like you're not too bad to hang out with. Lois says to Lana, when we're not chasing after Superman, you know, maybe like if we weren't always after each other's throats because of that, like we could actually get along. And Lana's like, you're right. Like I've been crazy about him ever since we were kids in Smallville, but he's never really taken me seriously. Like, maybe it's time that I did face reality and that loving Superman is a hopeless cause, like, for both of us. And it says, at that moment, Superman is there, and Superman, being a super creep, flies to the window and listens
He looks
in on
so
this
sad in
conversation.
all of these bottom panels. Look at him. Like, he's spying on them down there at the first panel.
Yeah.
Second panel, he's like, oh, I'm coming. And then third panel, he's like, hey, I'm over here. And then fourth panel, he's like, I'm hiding behind there. I'm listening to you.
That's exactly. I don't know if you could make out how Mike described how Superman was hiding. But that is exactly
I'm listening to you.
how Superman is hiding there. But yeah, Superman's just listening in on them essentially tell one another, like, I think Lana goes, like, we both want what every girl wants: a husband, a home, children, a social life. but we'll both be old and gray before Superman marries either one of us.
Oh my
which is,
God! They went through a museum and saw these guys and talked about how they wanted to marry them.
Superman. And then Lois goes, exactly.
Oh.
You know, Lana, if these two heroes, Hercules and
Eat my
Samson,
butt.
were alive, we wouldn't wait around for Superman
Stupid.
to make up his mind. I'd bet we'd go for them. They're handsome, famous heroes, and they've also got super strength. And Lana goes, agreed. But what's the use of dreaming? They're not available as husbands. They lived in the past. Come on, let's go for a ride and forget Superman for once.
You don't know that's what they look like. Psst. It's a fucking wax dummy in a museum. You fucking idiot. They're so handsome. Yeah, it's a mannequin, idiot. God.
So
God,
it gets,
these comics hated women.
they did.
I mean, they hated them.
They did. It gets better,
Oh.
Mike. I say it gets better. It gets worse for its portrayal of women,
For
but
women, sure.
For us to mock it and make fun of it now.
Sure.
Superman there in his thought bubbles.
That
as
makes me
he's-
feel bad.
As he's hanging out, he goes, So they'd marry Hercules and
I like how you go,
Samson.
Superman goes, like he's just a super creep.
That's what he looks like, just hanging out.
Look at
there.
them women.
But then he goes, So they'd marry Hercules and Samson if they were living today.
What kind of dipshit dresses up like Superman and hides behind a corner? Like nobody, like there's not going to be some stupid gum chewing kid walking down the street going, oh, look, Superman. I mean, he sticks out like a sore friggin' thumb. And he's like around the corner going, oh, they won't see me over here. I'm totally stealthed out. And they walk by going, golly, they sure are hot. These mannequins of Hercules and Samson. That's what this whole thing is based on. The fact that they went, number one, they went to a museum. Just in their off time, they went to a museum. And then number two, they looked up and saw a couple of mannequins standing next to who? Is that Gandalf that they're standing next to in this museum? It's Lizzie Borden, Gandalf, then Samson, then Hercules.
It's the Hall of Heroes.
It's the Hall
I
of Heroes,
I
like
think
Lizzie
that's-
Borden.
I think that's Robin Hood.
Okay. Oh, yeah,
And
I see
I
it
bet
now.
you it's probably who
It's
was
the-
going to
it's-
cut the baby in half. King Saul?
No. That's probably Excalibur Boy.
No.
Whatever his name
not
is.
King Arthur. No. Because
Yeah,
then
same
it's,
thing.
it's Samson and Hercules.
Okay. Maybe it is
There's
David.
something biblical. No, it's not
Yeah.
David. I thought it was Saul, wasn't it? Wasn't what Saul's the very wise
Better call?
one? Yeah. I don't know, Mike. Come on. Let's use our
brain?
our religious trauma from youth to remember.
It's Bible Boy.
Equipped with kung fu action
God
and sword.
almighty.
So, oh man, I don't know where I was. So anyway,
Well, you were down there
so
where they
Superman
stand in the
hears
way of
that,
romance.
and
yeah.
he's like, let me. I'm not going to let time stand in the way of romance, which means that Superman is going to fly through the time barrier to go back. First of all, to ancient Greece. Oh, and he's like, oh, there's Hercules engaged in a tug of war.
Oh, there's old Hercules.
Engaged in a tug of war against 100 gladiators.
Sure.
I'll use my ability to speak all languages,
That's
living or dead, and address him in his native Greek. Did you know that?
so he's an affront to God, is what you're saying. That's what Superman is?
Did you know that Superman can speak all languages?
No, I had no idea he was a living, breathing Tower of Babel.
Now you know.
Yeah.
And so Hercules goes, by the gods, who art thou who flies like a human eagle? Why dost thou interrupt my tug of war?
A human eagle.
Superman goes, I am called
A
Superman.
humigal.
I come to take you to a faraway land in the future, but never fear, you won't be harmed. And then he has a thought bubble, which in case you were wondering, Mike, Hercules doesn't recognize me from his last visit to the present when he tried to defeat me to win Lois's heart. Apparently, in returning to the past through the time barrier, he lost all memory of his fight with me.
Or, stick with me,
Yeah?
maybe it was a day before. I mean, that could be it, right?
What if it hasn't happened
That's
yet?
what I'm saying. It hadn't happened yet. Yeah.
Oh, man. And so then after that, they go.
Oh,
back,
he must have lost his entire memory coming through the time portal.
They go to another era of history, and don't worry, because Superman again uses his. Now I'll answer him in his tongue. Superman, remember, like you said, living Tower of Babel.
How are they supposed to get along with these English-speaking idiots back in his time?
He tells them, "Tush, Samson, Tush,
Tush?
Yeah, tush, Samson. You've halted your enemies for the time being.
Tush?
Yes, it's time an eligible bachelor like you got married. So I'm going to introduce you and Hercules to two charming girls in the 20th
So I'm going to
century.
introduce you and Hercules to each other. Wow, chicka, wow, wow.
So he does bring them
Tush.
there, and then he has this little helmet that he makes them wear that teaches
Oh, my God.
them English.
Oh, boy.
That's all that thing does is teach them English.
Yeah. Well, I can see that, sure.
So honestly, it looks like the helmet, if you're familiar with the Flintstones, what Kazoo would wear.
It does look like Kazoo's helmet.
Kazoo helmet. Hercules wears it, and then Samson wears it to put it on to learn English. But after Superman runs it on Hercules, Hercules stands up and goes.
After he does what on Hercules?
After he runs the helmet. Like
the
Superman's.
helmet.
And he goes, "Okay, Samson, like now it's your turn." Hercules stands up and goes, "Learn it. He will. Thou hast made me speak English fluently. Speak to the strange words I now know. Golly. Hot dog. Rock and roll. Space satellite.
Golly, hot dog, rock and roll.
And space satellite." So
Okay. So just in case people don't understand what the Great Gazoo is.
Kazoo or go?
It's Gazoo. Gazoo.
Go. He's a little green alien from.
You're supposed to give us what we want.
You know,
You let us get into terrible trouble.
I'm gonna just talk while he talks
You're going to learn the difference
because
between what
he's
you
the
really
little green
want
guy
and what
talking
you
to
think
Fred
you want.
and Flintstones. I don't know if they can hunt that audio down from.
It's
that.
a little Martian.
But he has
they
a
used to
little
show
Mart.
up in the
Yeah.
Flintstones because they had lost all thread to what the original story was.
Yeah.
They said, we're prehistoric guys who love to do cigarette commercials, and
they did.
our dinosaur is a dog.
And Ovaltine.
And Ovaltine. And now, let's see, what's missing? Samson? No. Hercules? No. An alien.
Yeah.
Let's get an alien to pop in.
We're not washed up yet enough to use Samson
Yeah.
and Hercules.
Exactly.
Anyway, yeah, and so Gazoo was born. Not
Wait.
Kazoo. Kazoo's the thing you blow.
Okay, tell me one more time the words that he learned.
Golly,
Uh-huh.
hot dog,
Uh-huh.
rock and roll,
Uh-huh.
space satellite.
That's all you ever need.
Yep. Those are the 4 ones you need right there.
Golly, hot dog, rock and roll, space satellite. Yeah, that's it.
Yep. You know those shirts that are like something and something
Uh-huh.
and something?
Uh-huh.
We need
Golly
one that says
and
golly
hot
and hot dog and rock and,
And rock and roll and space satellite. Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Oh, that's a great shirt.
Yeah, it is. So Superman then takes the 2 lads after he teaches them English shortly outside Metropolis, where Lois and Lana are hanging out picking flowers. And he goes, "There they are. I don't want the girls to see me, so I'll await."
These
your
two have quite a
verdict in
social
town."
life, don't they? They go to museums and they pick flowers.
Yep. Lois complains about needing shade, so Hercules rips a tree out of the ground and goes and like plants it down next to her.
Uh-huh. That's exactly
And then
what
Lana
she asked for.
explains about being thirsty, so Samson punches a hole in a rock because he notices a spring behind it.
I like how we're supposed to just follow along with that. So Samson punches a hole in a rock, and then
He says, "I saw some moisture trickle from a crack in the rock, so I guess there was a hidden
or is it
spring
just you,
behind
baby?
it." Well, it goes, "So I guess there was a hidden spring behind it, Lana. Thou hast a fountain of fresh, cool water." But if you look at it, the water kind of blends in with the rock, so it doesn't look like anything comes out of it.
Yeah, there's
or
nothing
anything.
coming out of that.
So it's like, so it could just be like, I saw that there was moisture here, and he punches it, and Lana's just like, and nothing ever comes out of it. They're like, "Yeah, Samson."
Thanks, Samson. Appreciate it.
They both get down on their knees. They're ready to go ahead and marry them. So they go to see.
They've known him for what, 12 seconds?
Yeah. So they go to see the Justice of the Peace like that afternoon.
Uh-huh.
And like Samson and Hercules are thanking Superman so much. Like, man, we can't. You had it so good. We can't thank you enough for this. It's so great.
So the Justice of the Peace at this point in time, I'm assuming this is the 50s?
It's the Marriage License Bureau, 1961.
1961. Oh, okay. So it's okay to show up there in a singlet.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Great.
Yeah. The singlet laws had
Okay.
passed by that time.
Sure.
And they're all like, man, like, you know, we're the happiest men in the world to Superman. And Superman goes, maybe so, boys, but just wait and see.
I like to think that they can't actually speak English. The entire time they're just going, hot dog, rock and roll.
Golly.
Space satellite, space satellite. Because that's all they learn.
Yeah. Hot dog, rock and roll, rock and roll.
Rock and roll. Rock and roll. Hot dog, hot dog.
Rock and roll? No rock and roll.
No, they don't know no.
Rock and
They don't know the word no.
Rock and roll?
They just know rock
No rock and roll.
and
Hot-
roll,
hot dog?
hot dog. Now, they can combine all of these words into a different phrase. So they could say
Rock dog hot
doc,
roll.
rog, hot rogue. Yeah, they could put them all together.
Doc rock hot roll? I can't.
Cock
well,
roll.
I,
What?
A hawk. I said H.
Cock roll.
Wow. Not going to make a joke. So, they show up at the Marriage License Bureau.
Hot dog.
And the
rock
woman
roll.
there says, I just heard about your appearance from the past, but I'm sorry, gentlemen. In this city, we don't issue immediate license. You must wait a week. You can't just show up and get married. You fools have to wait a week before you can get married. And the girl's like, that's fine. We'll still just make these relationships work until then.
Why doesn't Superman just fly him a week into the future?
That'd be too much work.
Oh, okay.
So they find jobs for them in
Uh-huh.
that time.
At the hot dog rock and roll factory.
One with an ad agency, the other one with a guy who is the producer of like a film studio.
Uh-huh.
And he goes, after reading Lois Lane's article about your arrival from the past, I had to sign you up for a Samson meets Hercules picture. Who, like, the thing I don't get is, like, after I heard you guys sign up, I knew that I had to have the real people play it. It's just
I don't understand who, like, the lady at the marriage license place knows that they came from the past into the future.
Yeah, so does
But
everybody
it's not
else.
a bigger deal.
No, everybody else knows that they're just kind of
okay.
cool with it.
It happens all the time. Hitler was here last week.
Yeah, but the guy gives them an advance on the film studio guy.
Uh-huh, yeah.
So they buy houses
Sure.
and things like that with the advance.
Yeah.
But
And then this dumbass picks one up.
that's the thing. Well, Lois Lane is with Hercules, and she tells Hercules, you know, I think our house might look better on that side of the lot that we have over there. And he's like, okay. So
This was before plumbing was invented. Is that right?
Apparently
Okay.
so. So Hercules picks up the entire house, and he goes to move it. As
Uh-huh.
Hercules obliged, he goes, okay, now. And she goes, no, sweetheart, it's still not right. We'll have to keep trying until we find the best spot. Now, see if you move it like a little further back there.
He's like,
Hot
And then it
dog,
goes-
rock and roll, hot
Yeah.
dog. Ah.
And when night falls, great gods, Lois, make up your mind.
Oh,
I've been
hot
carrying
dog,
this
rock and
house
roll.
on my back for hours, and you still haven't made a decision. And it shows Samson and Lana off in the corner.
Space
And they're like,
satellite.
oh, can you believe them? But then it shows that Lana comes out and tells Samson, man, I'd like some privacy. All these cars coming by. Can you build a fence? And he builds a fence, and a helicopter comes by. And she's like, man, I really like some privacy, but now the helicopters. So he pushes a hill all the way up to the edge of the
sure.
right. He's Samson. He pushes the hill all the way up to the edge of the house, and he's like, now nobody's going to fly close enough to it because they don't want to hit the hill. Like, we're fine. And she goes, yeah, but now we can't see anything. So why don't you move the hill back and take the fence down? Because I miss seeing stuff.
So it's like the mountain to Muhammad kind of thing, or the Muhammad to the mountain. You ever heard that phrase? Like moving the mountain to Muhammad, or the
I guess.
whatever.
I know about making a mountain out of a mole.
Yeah,
molehill.
that's different. I would like to talk to Lana about her fashion choices real quick.
Yeah.
Um,
all red.
orange hair, red headband,
Yeah, it's supposed to be red hair, but yeah.
red top, red pants,
Red shoes, too, I'm assuming.
red shoes. That is,
Yeah.
it's not great.
Well, after she has Samson move everything back, she then goes, hey, you know, I was thinking, like, I'd like a pet, but, like, something unusual.
Sure.
You know, like, back in the ancient days, queens kept leopards as pets.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, Samson goes, okay, well, I'll get a pet fit for my queen.
Well,
And it says, presently in the hills beyond Metropolis, Samson's just out
where the leopards live.
fist punching mountain lions.
Well, is that a mountain lion or is it a leopard?
It's a mountain lion.
Okay, because I was going to say if it's a leopard, he punched him so hard his spots flew off.
No, he's out there just punching mountain lions in the face, though.
Well, that's acceptable. I mean, come on.
And so he shows up with a knockout mountain lion, and they chain it up. And when the mountain lion wakes up, Lana is supposed to be making steak dinner for Samson, like these big steaks. But the beast, when
That
it
mountain
wakes
lion's
up,
going to want that meat.
snaps the pole and starts eating Samson's dinner.
Yeah.
And about that time, he goes and he scares the beast away. And
She's lucky he didn't eat her big red ass.
Well, everybody's safe. And he's like, oh, well, that was my supper. What about now? And she goes, all I can give you now are lettuce sandwiches. There's nothing else left in the house.
Were they going to have steak
And
sandwiches?
Samson goes, lettuce sandwiches, groan.
Not again.
But I'm hungry enough to eat a bear because Lana wanted a pet. I've got no supper. Is this what married life will be like? It's kind of like those bad romance comics.
It is kind of what married life is like, yeah.
Oh, also, I didn't tell you, they sleep in hammocks outside while the girls sleep inside the houses.
My wife had me punch a house cat one time, but not a leopard.
Yeah. House cat.
That's for different
Still
reasons.
fights back. Well, but so
No, this one didn't fight back.
Lana goes and wakes Hercules up from his hammock that he sleeps on outside.
It looks like he's on a gurney.
It's a hammock. And she reminds him, hey, remember when we saw Samson bring that
Hey, don't forget to go get that ostrich.
that line to Lana? Remember you promised me that I'd get a pet too?
Yeah.
Well, I'd like a bird. Go get me a bird that Lana's going to envy.
Yeah.
And Hercules goes, this ostrich should please Lois.
You know what birds everybody loves?
Ostrich.
Ostriches.
So that nobody can accuse me of stealing, I'll leave behind a priceless ruby for my amulet. So the zoo can buy another specimen.
Yeah.
Because that's how it works, Hercules.
Spaceman hot dog.
And I leave rubies.
Rock and roll.
Spaceman hot dog. Spaceman rock and roll.
Rock and roll.
Spaceship satellite.
Rock and
Ruby
roll.
set down and
Bird.
he steals the ruby. So they're back. Well,
Isn't
here's
that fantastic, though, to think that those are really the only words they know?
well, those were the words that Hercules was super stoked about.
That's what I'm saying. It's the only words that helmet teaches.
Well, here's what I found so funny too is so Lois is there and they're outside, like I guess Hercules is eating grapes, and it says that
Better than
evening,
lettuce.
Lois goes, "See, dearest, to prove how much I love you, I'm feeding this ostrich my old Superman pictures," which is just a little weird. Like, hey, to show you how much I love you, I'm feeding this bird that you stole pictures of Superman.
I'm feeding to prove how much I love you, dearest, who came from many
past.
eons ago, who I can't get married to yet because we're having to wait for a little while.
whole week.
Who
That
also
marriage license plate.
also moved a house for hours. I'm gonna feed this bird some trash, the one that you stole, instead of using the ruby for good. I'm glad you left it in that bird's cage. This is all perfectly normal.
Yeah, it is. And about that time, there's a bulletin over the radio that goes, "Attention, folks, here's a bulletin from the Metropolis Zoo concerning the ostrich taken this morning."
You know how bulletins work?
Yeah.
They start by going, "Hey, here's a bulletin."
No, but they go about the ostrich taken this morning.
Yeah.
The ostrich's present owners may not know that this species of ostrich easily catches deathly colds.
Oh.
Thus, if the bird sleeps outdoors at night, make sure he is kept warm. What kind of bulletin is that to interrupt? Hey, we interrupt you with this bulletin. It's like, would you ever be listening to the radio? I know, first of all, suspension of disbelief to think you'd be listening to the radio live right now. But you're listening to the radio, you're driving along, right, Mike? And you're like,
yeah, listen to my big band tunes.
yeah, all right, you're listening. Imagine you got, man, you can't get enough of that Glenn Miller, right?
Yeah.
You're driving through Glenn Miller in your ear. You're living the life. Yep. Attention. This is a bulletin. There's been a robbery from the First National Bank, and we just want everybody to know that the cash that was stolen, if you need to use something tonight because it's going to be cold, that it actually emits gas when fire is lit to it for the thieves that took it.
I like how it's almost 1940s voice you're using.
I can't.
I like how he goes, gas.
I can't. No. But it's just like that would
This
be.
has been a bulletin.
Yeah, that would be deathly to the people if they were to set it on fire.
By the way,
That
big
is-
birds don't steal them.
That is all. It's just very weird. Like,
Wow.
the thieves that did something, this is what might happen to the thing you stole.
So their solution is put the bird in the hammock.
Yeah, so Hercules has to give up his hammock
Yeah.
and cover up the bird,
Yeah.
and then he sleeps in a tree.
And the bird is sawing logs.
But they still leave the collar wrapped around his neck, so it kind of looks weird that he's chained to the tree that Hercules is up in.
Yeah.
Then it shows Hercules carrying all of Lois's, gifts and stuff, where he goes like,
It looks like he's carrying a cactus.
Few parcels, gas. She practically bought the whole store.
Oh, women be shopping.
Women be shopping. Meanwhile, Samson also plays the perfect husband to be. Lana, they bought a car, and Lana can't drive because women can't drive, yo.
Women be crashing.
Yeah, that's essentially what he does. She's running. She runs into light poles. He has to carry it out of like this window front that she crashed into.
Boy, she didn't just crash it. She fucking demolished that car. Look at that thing.
She's still in it, probably suffering from like a concussion, and she's just like left there, and he's not yelling at her to stay in the car.
I want a bird.
Oh, no, stay in, Lana. No,
I want a leopard.
No, Lana. No, we already went over this. I've punched all the mountain lions in the face. It all
I
ends
want the eye of Sauron.
It all ends the same way. I lose on steak and have to eat lettuce sandwiches, and I'm done with that. So
Lettuce sandwiches.
Yeah, that's what she offered. So they have to find more work. Well, this time they set him up. They find Samson a demolition gig, and he takes the chains and he goes to break down. They're tearing down an old courthouse.
Yeah.
And he goes to pull down these pillars, and when he does, it kind of flings the pillars forward into Metropolis. It just somehow launches them like rockets.
No.
Hey, did you remember this is a Superman story? We
Oh,
wanted
I
to
forgot.
remind you. Yeah.
Where is Superman?
We wanted to remind you he's there at the Daily Planet where these things are like hurling at the office, and he disintegrates one as Clark Kent, and then he goes and disintegrates the other one as Superman. All for them just to be like, Superman saved you from ruining things, Samson. You're never going to work for us again.
Bastard.
Super strength, more like super dumbass.
Get
out of here.
He got you.
And they send Samson away. We find out that Hercules has now become...
And cut your hair while you're at it.
has now become the mascot, or like the training dummy for the the Metropolis Giants, their football team there.
Yeah.
And they all try to tackle him, and he's bored by them tackling him. So he tells them to run with the football for them to try tackling Hercules, but he ends up just hurting more people than anything. So he's like, he's hurting more guys than he's helping. And he's like, all right, I'm just going to pay him to get out of here.
Sure.
So the coach goes, here's your $300. Take it and get out of here while we still have a team left. In that time, though, their mascot, who was a donkey, he's a lucky mule, by the way. I don't know if I told you this. They have a lucky mule, right?
The Giants. They have a lucky mule.
The Giants have a lucky mule that goes to kick Hercules. And as it like rears back to kick him, the assistant coach goes, Hercules, look out. Our lucky mule is kicking you. But the next instant, our mascot knocked himself out. So the mule kicked Hercules in the butt, and there was no place for the energy to go.
Yeah,
so
right. It reverberates back through his head.
And his head
Yeah.
flung forward into the ground and knocked himself out.
I don't know why you're finding this so hard to believe.
All right, so that's what happened. But he goes, our mascot.
Boop, 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 boop. A bulletin. Mule down.
Nice.
That's all I got.
Knocked himself
that's all
out
I
thanks to Hercules' ass.
Yeah.
And it goes, our mascot knocked himself out.
Ass on his ass.
Now our superstitious players won't play because the mule was their good luck symbol.
What happened to Lana here?
Hold on, before we get there.
Okay,
I'm
sorry.
taking back the $300 that will go for medical expenses for the mule. Hercules lost his $300 to pay for what he did to the mule.
But the mule, he didn't do anything to the mule. The mule kicked him.
And he had to pay for the
You
medical
dumb
expenses.
bastard. You were in the way. He loves to kick. Everybody knows that.
Anyway, yeah, Lana gets back
ay.
home. And so for a TV commercial, like Lana's helping him rehearse for a TV commercial. And she goes,
For what?
What
What TV commercial?
The scene that you'll film tomorrow calls for you to blow up a piece of bubble gum. Watch me, Samson. I'll show you how to blow a bubble. And as it gets big, he goes, Lana, look out. And it pops and gum splatters all over Samson's hair.
Oh, it makes
and
total
Samson
sense.
goes, you clumsy fool. The bubble bursts, scattering sticky chewing gum all over
He's
my
going to have to cut his hair.
I'll never get it out. And she goes, don't worry about it. Let me fix it. And before Samson can stop his impetuous wife-to-be, you idiot, you've cut my hair. You've taken away all my strength. It'll be months before my hair grows back and I've become strong again. I'm through with this life. through. I'm going out to find Superman. And like Lana's like, but what? And as he's out, he finds Hercules. And they're like, we want to go back. We don't want anything to do with these women. And so Superman lands and he's like, okay, boys, now you know what I've been through. And he takes them back in time to where they go. And it says the next day in the suburbs. And Superman goes through and he goes, well, girls, your fiancés are now back in the past. And Lois goes, let them stay there. Where we'll rid of them. We're selling our houses to settle our debts.
By putting a sign in my yard that says for sale, see Lois Lane.
And Lana, it does. And Lana goes, they weren't much. They didn't know how to handle women. But things would be different with you, Superman.
Superman.
A moment later, Lois says, hussy, don't you dare flirt with Superman. And Lana replies, jealous cat, you can't stand the idea that he prefers me to you. And Superman just looks at the camera and goes, here we go again. How I envy Samson and Hercules being 2,000 years away from the battle of the sexes.
It's a life.
And by battle of the sexes, I mean two girls battling themselves.
Yeah.
And alluding to sex.
Okay, but here's
that I do not want.
Here's the other thing. What did he send them back?
He took Hercules and Samson back.
Where? When? How?
He just
Why?
It just says it did. Cheer up, reader. Things aren't really so bad for Superman.
Because here's a fucking Tootsie Roll, you dumb kids.
For in case you forgot, this is only an imaginary tale.
Oh, make sure you tell me that again. That's great.
Here, let me tell you about this Tootsie Roll history real quick.
You know what I like are horses with two eyes on the same side of its head.
Well, did you know that history says the ride of Paul Revere was to warn the folks the British were near? But between you and me, the real cause of this feat was to wake everyone for a Tootsie Roll treat.
So we had a whole revolution that was just based
Tootsie
on
Rolls.
chocolate treats?
Yep.
Chocolate waxy treats?
When was the last time you had a chocolate waxy treat?
It's according to whether you count Reno or not. Bum.
You ate the city?
No, I'm just saying like I paid a hooker to give me a chocolate waxy treat. Is what I was saying. That's what I was alluding to.
This has been an episode. So this is World's Finest Wednesday. There you go. Action Comics number 279. Thank you guys for tuning in. Coming up on Monday's show, we have Wonder Woman Dead Earth. And then also we have for our next World's Finest Wednesday, a Superman's pal, Jimmy Olsen.
Oh.
Where Jimmy Olsen has to collect tears.
Hold on. Superman's feces.
No, let me. Wow. Oh my goodness, Mike. But let me tease you. Do I have it here? I think I do.
Speaking of chocolate waxy treats.
No, sir. Here, let me tease you with something just to show you for next Wednesday what you can look forward to. If I pull this back up, that's our Tootsie Roll. But next Wednesday's World Finest Wednesday, watch me say this and let's not cover this, but we'll do.
Oh, man, look at him go.
Superman's pal, Jimmy Olsen, where he's collecting his tears.
So it's Superman's saddest day.
It is. Look at him crying. Jimmy Olsen's just collecting his tears. And I have lost Mike. Oh, I've lost Mike. All right. Thank you guys for taking the time out to listen. We appreciate it as always. Thank you for taking the time out to comment. If you made it this far, for listening, for watching, all of it. We appreciate it all very, very much. Also, if you
tell your friends they missed this part.
Yeah, that they missed this part, Mike being index card eyes.
Yeah.
Make sure to check out, though, if you don't like us and you made it this far, there are better podcasts on the road.
What if I cut my eyes when I did that? Like got paper cuts on my eyeballs.
That'd be bad. And
that would be bad.
Awful. But make sure to check out the Rogue Media Network family of podcasts.
RogueMediaNetwork.com.
Until next time, stay safe, everybody.
Frozen heroes. Gonna tell you about Frozen heroes. Gonna tell you about.
This has been a Rogue Media Network production.